That's a lot of different ways to come at Amazon with the headlines this morning. Yeah,
lots of new angles we're not used to relative to Amazon.
Yeah, some angles we don't necessarily want to look at too closely. But the upgrade this morning, I mean, given how big a part Bezos is of Amazon, are you surprised the stock has held up this well with these questions?
I'm actually not, because I think Jeff Bezos is arguably the smartest person I have ever met and one of the most capable strategy people as well as tacticians. The company is in really good hands, even with him having to deal with whatever it is he's dealing with. I look at these strategies. He has such a long time horizon. I look at grocery. He's not trying to win the grocery argument in the next 6 months. He's trying to do it over 10 years. And I'll be really surprised if he doesn't radically alter that business, probably by tying in restaurants and other consumers of fresh product. But to me, the Hollywood thing's going to pass, and Amazon will still be there when all of it's done.
Are all the other CEOs and founders dealing with the same stuff? People just don't know about it?
I have no idea. Honest to God, Jen, I mean, part of my challenge in dealing with Silicon Valley is the culture has changed so much in the last 10 years that it's no longer the same culture that I knew and loved. You know, in the era when we made products that empowered people and made the world a better place. And now it's this titanic struggle of, you know, almost these Greek gods who are trying to take over Mount Olympus. And that, I don't think that ends well.
So you're saying it's LA?
I don't know. Maybe you know LA better than I do. But what I do know is that there is so much nonsense that is part of the atmosphere now. And candidly, a lot of products that are just extracting wealth from the economy, not actually making things better. One of the things I love about Amazon, one of the things I love about Bezos, is that I do think what he's done in distribution is brilliant, and it does make the economy better. I think, you know, we're going to have to find ways to keep them from participating in the markets they create, but honestly, the guy is really smart. I'm sure he's going to make grocery a better business by the time he's done.
Let's dig into that a little bit more, because, I mean, grocery, it's not exactly the highest margin business. It's not necessarily the fastest growing business. I mean, Whole Foods hasn't so far necessarily been that much of a positive when you look at Amazon's financials. What do you expect that to look like?
Well,
what do you think this vision is longer term?
Morgan, I look at this and I go, if you watch Bezos, we're not about making money in the very short run.
Yeah.
He's about restructuring distribution channels. And my sense is that Whole Foods was a learning experience. It's not that big a player in the market. It plays in a niche. It was about learning how to move fresh goods around without them spoiling. And I just will be very, very surprised if when he's done with this, he hasn't found a way to make some material improvement in how this stuff gets moved around. And if he fails, then obviously that's a big issue for the stock, because it means they're going to be running out of markets because they're already dominant in the places that they're already in.
When you're talking about moving around, I mean, it sounds like you're hinting at, you know, transportation logistics play as well, which we know Amazon's been building.
Don't you think that's, I mean, he's essentially looking at distribution in all of its senses, and he treats it, as he said from that early shareholder letter, he treats the whole thing like it's a computer with inputs and outputs and applications, programming interfaces, and he's somehow managed to make computers in the real world look like the same thing, and so far it's worked. So, you know.
When I hear you talk, Roger, about Jeff Bezos and Amazon, I mean, it's glowing. And it sort of reminds me of how you speak about Mark Zuckerberg lately in your new book, and how you've been very critical of Facebook and Google for not protecting our privacy and election interference. Why do you think Amazon doesn't get any heat for that? They have a ton of our data.
Well, to be clear, I can respect the people without respecting all the things that they do in the business. And in fact, I'm very, very worried about many of the things that Amazon's doing with data. And I do think we have to hold them to exactly the same standard. I'll give you an example. Amazon has a new business where they're venturing into health insurance. Now, think about this. They get to track you over long periods of time. They're tracking your mouse movement, right? They're doing all that kind of stuff. They're going to know from your mouse movements if you have a neurological problem before you do. Right? If all of a sudden the mouse movements when you're on Amazon are slowing down or getting more erratic, they're going to know that. Now, who is their customer in that? Are they going to call you and say, hey, we think you need to go see your doctor? Or are they going to go to their insurance side and raise your rates or terminate your insurance? I don't know, but I think we ought to know that answer, and soon. So
So you're not saying they're necessarily better stewards of all of our privacy and data than the
No,
others?
I would say that they have been, that the impact of their behavior has been less dangerous to this point, but that's not to say we can count on that going on long. I mean, he promises us that he's only recording things after you say, hey, Alexa, but what's to stop some enterprising product manager at some point in the future? That's what everyone else has done. So,
and we remember that story about Alexa thinking she was being alerted by a husband and wife talking and then sending the message to someone else. So
well, exactly.
There's some issues to explore here. We'll see how it all ends up shaking out.